Let's be honest, the word budgeting often conjures images of spreadsheets, tedious meetings, and maybe just a little bit of dread.
Yeah, it doesn't exactly scream excitement, does it? But it's undeniably the backbone of any organization. Absolutely critical for, planning, coordination, and control.
Right. And what's really illuminating is how that challenge, that budgeting difficulty, it just ramps up dramatically when you shift from the private sector to the public.
Oh, definitely. For a private company, it's relatively straightforward. The compass points pretty clearly to profit maximization, right? You budget for sales targets, for cost cuts, and success is measured in, dollars and cents.
Exactly. But then picture a public sector place, like say a hospital. How do you quantify making sure every outpatient gets seen within 8 weeks?
It's tricky.
It's not about generating revenue in the same way. It's about delivering services, often with these qualitative goals that are just incredibly difficult to link directly to inputs, to the money spent.
Yeah, and it often just becomes about managing the cash flow, doesn't it? Rather than really looking at what that cash achieves.
Precisely. And that sort of fuzzy reality for public sector bodies is exactly why our deep dive today is so important, I think.
We're going to pull back the curtain on two core budgeting ways of thinking: incremental and zero-based budgeting, ZBB.
And we'll explore how they've worked, or maybe haven't worked, in both public and private settings. We want to help you understand the nuances, the good bits, the bad bits.
Yeah, ultimately, the goal is to give you a clearer picture of which tools might be right for your budgeting toolbox, depending on the situation.
Okay, so let's kick off with the one most people probably bump into first: incremental budgeting.
The classic.
Right. This is where you essentially take last year's budget, or maybe the actual spending, as your starting point.
Your baseline.
Exactly, your baseline.
Yeah.
And then you just add new amounts, the increments, for the next budget cycle.
And it's worth clearing up. Sometimes people think it ignores inflation. It doesn't. An increment, it implies an increase, which usually accounts for things like inflation.
Good point. So the current year's numbers are just the launch pad.
That's it. Let's make it real. Picture a school. Their current staff salary budget is, say, $1.5 million.
Okay.
Now, for the next school year, the head teacher wants to hire 2 new language teachers. That's $30,000 each.
Right.
Plus, everyone already on staff gets a 5% pay rise across the board.
Okay, let's crunch those. So $1.5 million base, add $60,000 for the 2 new teachers. That takes us to $1.56 million. Then you add the 5% increase on that whole amount.
On the $1.56 million, yeah.
And you land at $1.638 million. Right. Certainly, it's quick. Straightforward.
Very quick, very easy. But here's the key thing, and maybe the system's, its Achilles heel. Using this method, nobody actually looked closely at that original $1.5 million salary pot. It was just accepted, taken as a given. No second glance.
So, okay, on the surface, incremental sounds great. Quick, easy, keeps things stable. But doesn't that simplicity kind of hide a bigger problem? Like, if it's that easy, what's the catch? Where does it fall down?
Exactly. That ease you mentioned, it can lull organizations into a false sense of security. It's true, you can easily trace that, $138,000 increase in our school example?
Yeah, new hires, pay rises, clear link.
Right. But the fundamental flaw isn't about tracking the new money. It's what happens with the old money.
Okay.
That's where the hidden problems start to bite.
Yeah.
Because the biggest catch is that it just assumes all the current stuff, all the current costs are still needed. No critical review.
Right. So back in our school, we're not asking, do we really need 2 new language teachers?
Or could we shuffle the timetable? Maybe manage with 1 or none.
Yeah. That existing $1.5 million just becomes this sacred cow nobody touches.
That's a great way to put it. And this leads to a really key psychological point. Managers have zero incentive to justify existing costs.
Because it's already approved, basically.
Yeah. Exactly. The method looks backward, not forward. And that's a real liability when things are changing fast. And crucially, it gives managers no reason to try and reduce costs. In fact, it often encourages that spend it or lose it thinking.
Ah, yes. Use up your budget so it doesn't get cut next year.
You got it. Managers end up spending just to protect their budget for the following year.
Which means, I guess, performance targets often end up being pretty unchallenged, too.
Yeah, they're based on last year, so they just carry forward any old inefficiencies.
Like that example you gave earlier, the school cook hired for like a breakfast club that never really took off.
Exactly that kind of thing. If no one's scrutinizing that existing line item, that waste just gets baked in year after year after year.
Which really makes you question the whole idea of efficiency, doesn't it? What actually happens to efficiency when existing costs are just never properly challenged?
It's a fundamental question. And it really sets the stage for a pretty radical shift in thinking.
Because after World War II, things got tighter financially, right?
Yeah, money was scarcer. And organizations started feeling the pinch with these traditional budgeting methods. It wasn't just about tight money, it was more fundamental. People needed to rethink how they manage resources.
A real push for change.
Definitely. By the 1960s, this dissatisfaction led to new ideas like program budgeting over in the US. I think it was the Secretary of Defense pushing it.
Okay.
And that system demanded super detailed objectives, output results, costs for everything.
Wow.
It was a big push for transparency, but as you can probably imagine, the public sector wasn't exactly thrilled. Too complex, too much work.
Sounds like a bureaucratic nightmare waiting to happen. But it forced people to think differently.
Yeah.
Because that's when zero-based budgeting, ZBB, really came out of the scene.
Pretty much. It started getting traction in the public sector in the 60s. Then Texas Instruments famously picked it up in 69.
Right.
And it got a lot more visibility when Jimmy Carter brought it into Georgia's state government in the 70s.
So what is ZBB, fundamental?
Well, it's kind of what it says on the tin. The budgeting process literally starts from zero.
No baseline from last year.
None. No reference to what happened before. Every budget item, every department, every single function gets reviewed from scratch. All spending, not just the new stuff, needs fresh justification, needs approval again.
So the goal is really about optimal resource allocation. Forcing managers to justify every single thing they do.
Yeah, knowing that if they can't make a good case, that budget line just vanishes. Poof.
It's designed to eliminate every bit of unjustifiable spending.
Exactly. It makes managers ask those really tough questions. Is this activity even necessary? What if we just stopped doing it? Is the current spending level right? Or are we overspending? Are there better ways to do this? How much should it actually cost?
And crucially, do the benefits really stack up against those costs?
Absolutely. And all these searching questions get addressed through a pretty structured process, typically in 3 stages.
Okay, stage 1.
Stage 1. Identifying activities and putting together decision packages. So managers first identify every single activity under their control.
Okay.
Then they think about different ways they could perform those activities. And these options get described in detail in what's called a decision package.
And a decision package isn't just like a budget request.
No, it's much more. It's a proper analysis. It breaks down the costs, states the purpose clearly, identifies alternatives.
Alternatives to doing it that way.
Right. It sets performance measures, ways to track success. And really importantly, it spells out the consequences of not doing the activity or maybe doing it at different levels, like a basic level versus a premium level.
Okay, let's use our school example again. Lunch provision. The catering manager wouldn't just ask for $6.
No, they'd present options and decision packages. Option 1, maybe the base level, is just cold food, sandwiches, cheap and cheerful.
Right.
Option 2 might be a self-service hot and cold buffet. Option 3, a full, hot, catered service.
Or they could have packages that are mutually exclusive, right? Like doing it all in-house versus outsourcing the whole thing.
Exactly. And this is where ZBB forces that really crucial, sometimes difficult conversation about balancing the numbers with the fuzzier stuff.
The qualitative factor.
Yeah. A simple cost-benefit analysis might just point to option 1, the sandwiches, as the cheapest, the most efficient.
But that's missing the bigger picture.
It can be. Because it ignores the intangible value. Only offering cold food might, say, damage the school's reputation with parents. It could deter good students from applying. It might impact morale, maybe even exam results down the line, which could affect funding.
Wow, yeah. Things that are hard to put a dollar value on, but are absolutely critical.
Totally. Spreadsheets struggle with that, but it's vital for the school's long-term health.
That's a massive point. Okay, so once these detailed decision packages are created, what's stage 2?
Stage 2 is ranking the packages. Management takes all these packages from across the organization and ranks them, usually in order of decreasing benefit.
So highest priority gets ranked first.
Exactly. This prioritization is key. It determines what actually gets funded and potentially at what level, maybe only the basic service level gets funded for some things.
And does this ranking happen at different levels?
Typically, yes. It's hierarchical. So the catering manager ranks their lunch options. Then a headmaster looks at the ranked catering packages alongside packages from, say, the IT department, the sports department.
Ah, okay. So you get a whole school strategic view.
Precisely. Aggregating it up ensures that.
Makes sense. And then stage 3 must be?
Stage 3, allocating the resources. Based on that final ranked list, the money gets dished out, starting from the top priority until the total spending limit is reached.
Okay. So the benefits of ZBB sound pretty significant. You wouldn't go through all that hassle otherwise.
Oh, definitely not. The biggest advantage, especially compared to incremental, is that everything gets reevaluated every year from zero.
Right.
That process is designed to root out inefficient stuff, obsolete activities, and just generally curb wasteful spending. That's the headline benefit.
Sounds incredibly powerful. A real driver for efficiency.
Yeah.
But if it's that good, why isn't every single company or government department doing it all the time?
Yeah.
There've got to be some major downsides.
Oh, absolutely. Huge hurdles. While ZBB does encourage that bottom-up thinking, challenges the status quo, responds better to change, the practical challenges are immense.
Like what?
Well, for starters, managers often just don't have the skills to build those really detailed decision packages properly. So you need time, you need money for training.
Right.
And just imagine a big organization, the sheer number of activities, it can generate mountains of paperwork, just overwhelming.
I'm trying to picture a massive multinational company applying ZBB to everything. How would they even manage the decision-making? Ranking literally thousands of packages, especially with those tricky qualitative factors we talked about.
It's incredibly difficult. Top management often just doesn't have the time or maybe even the detailed knowledge to meaningfully rank everything.
So how do they cope?
Well, the hierarchical ranking helps, breaking it down by department or division first. But even so, the whole process, identifying, defining, evaluating, ranking, it's massively time-consuming and very, very costly.
Right. And what about reacting to things during the year?
That's another issue. Some managers feel it makes them too rigid, unable to react quickly to sudden changes or new opportunities, which could actually harm the business.
And the data? Do companies even have the right info systems?
Often not. Many existing management information systems, MIS, just aren't set up to provide that really granular level of detail ZBB demands.
So given all those pretty significant drawbacks, are there practical ways around it? How do organizations get the benefits without grinding to a complete halt?
Yeah, people are definitely finding ways. Hybrid approaches seem common.
Right.
Like maybe not doing full ZBB every year, perhaps only every 3 years or 5 years, or maybe just when there's a major change like a merger or a big crisis that forces a rethink.
That makes sense. Or maybe not applying it everywhere.
Exactly. Another tactic is to apply ZBB only to certain departments, perhaps ones with lots of discretionary spending like marketing or R&D, or just focus it on support activities.
And use incremental for the rest.
Yeah, keep using incremental budgeting for the really essential, unavoidable costs. Think heating and lighting in our school or basic staffing levels in a hospital ward, things that just have to be paid.
Okay, that sounds much more pragmatic.
Yeah.
So stepping back then, who really benefits most? Is ZBB better suited to one sector over another?
Well, you could make a strong case that ZBB is often a particularly good fit for the public sector.
Why is that?
Because public sector organizations often deal with quite distinct, definable activities. You know, local government providing housing, running schools, managing transport. It's clear what the packages are.
Okay.
And it's also really well suited for areas with lots of discretionary costs or for support functions, which you find a lot in nonprofits or internal service departments inside bigger companies too.
And incremental budgeting, our quick and easy friend. Where does that still fit best?
Oh, it's still perfectly fine, often preferable, for those stable, essential costs where there isn't much choice or discretion.
Right.
There's just no point spending huge amounts of time and money justifying costs that you absolutely have to incur anyway just to keep the lights on. The key is knowing when and where to use each tool.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, it seems pretty clear neither method is, a magic bullet. There's no single perfect budgeting tool for planning and control.
Absolutely not. Incremental is easy, maybe too easy, and can lead to inefficiency, inertia, just rolling things over.
While ZBB, it's powerful for efficiency, forces you to really think. But wow, the demands on time and resources are extraordinary.
That's the fundamental trade-off. The best solution is rarely at either extreme end of the spectrum.
Which kind of invites you, listening, to think about it. How could combining the swift simplicity of incremental for the boring essentials
The stable costs.
with the really rigorous questioning approach of ZBB for the discretionary areas or the bits of the organization that are changing fast, how could that mix transform your organization's financial planning?
Yeah, what blend would be most impactful for an organization you're familiar with? And what tough choices would that involve? That's the real strategic puzzle to chew on.